kind of makes you wonder, did Jan Blachowicz show us what might be the roadmap to beating Izzy? And if so, is Marvin capable of doing that? What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, we got the rematch coming up, the next pay-per-view. It's going to take place just outside of Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep.
And that puts Israel Adesanya against Marvin Vettori for the second time. Their first fight, obviously, famously ended in split decision, really the only controversial fight Izzy's had since he's been in the UFC.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you is, can this one go differently? And if so, what might happen here?
Oh, well, I think this will certainly be a different fight than we saw the first time. And I believe a little fun fact that the first time these two fought was in Phoenix, Arizona as well.
Is that right?
I think that's a fun fact. I might have heard it on one of the other MMA channels, and it just stuck out to me. It's like, oh, that's kind of odd because with all the lockdowns and the private event shows that they've been having without guests and audience, it's pretty crazy that it just so happened to land there again. The folks in Phoenix are definitely going to be in for a treat on that night.
So what you're saying is that the state of Arizona truly isn't big enough for the both of them, to quote the old country westerns. When those two go to Arizona together, they get into a fight.
Right. The UFC should use that as like a
promo,
desert setting and have them both out there, quick draw. That would be pretty cool.
I like it.
Marvin Vettori, man, he's a man on a mission. He has never had the UFC strap. He said he will be the first Italian to be a champion in the UFC, and it's hard not to believe him when he says stuff like that. One of the judges in their first bout thought that he had won the fight. I personally had Adesanya winning that fight, but I did think it was a tough one and one of his closest fights to date. But I think we need to throw all that away. I do think that Israel Adesanya is head and shoulders better than he was when he entered the UFC, and I think Marvin Vettori is a completely different fighter. He still maintains a lot of those skills that he brought into the UFC, but I think he's a different guy, a different animal now, and he's absolutely a man on the mission. So this is going to be a great fight.
Yeah, I see it being a totally different fight as well. Even sometimes you say, oh, this is just the second installment, and there's really not anything that gets you. For example, we just had Stipe Francis too.
Right.
I think everybody kind of knew that, even for those that didn't pick Francis to win, everybody knew this fight, Stipe wasn't going to run over Francis and gas him and exhaust him and win the way that he won the first time. And so this is another situation similar to that. I feel like everybody kind of knows that we're far removed from that first fight. Israel Adesanya has come a long way with his takedown defense, with his counter grappling, with his striking, his timing, his feinting. He's always been good at that. He's just gotten better at it. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. He's coming off a loss.
Right.
So sometimes when you're a fighter, you're 20-0, you're running through everybody. Everybody they put in front of you is getting knocked out. World title holders like Robert Whittaker, you're putting them to sleep. You kind of walk with this air of confidence that you're almost unbeatable, and that can be a benefit or it could be a curse depending on how you use it. Throw all that away now. Jan Blachowicz showed Israel Adesanya that there's a difference between 185 and 205.
Right.
And this is what makes it interesting for me, because Marvin Vettori is a big 185er. Marvin Vettori looks like he's the size of Jan Blachowicz. Yeah. And in Marvin's last outing, he did a very good job of keeping Kevin Holland down, ground and pounding him. And so it kind of makes you wonder, did Jan Blachowicz show us what might be the roadmap to beating Izzy? And if so, is Marvin capable of doing that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the mindset that Vettori's camp is going to go into. Look, we saw what just worked, and we were pretty effective doing a similar game plan, but a little bit more of aggressive style with the wrestling and the top control with Kevin Holland, who's kind of got a similar figure to Adesanya, right? A long striker. So I'm interested in seeing if he does implement this. Now, the one thing we have to understand is everybody that's training, that watches MMA, that's a little more than a casual, knows what Israel Adesanya knows, which is be on the lookout for those takedowns.
Yeah.
Don't let it happen. And if there's somebody that can adapt, adjust, and move forward. It's Israel Adesanya. He also needs to get a lot of credit for being somebody that isn't going to hang his head or make one loss or one fight, one win define his career. I do believe that he's the type of person with the mentality that, yeah, I might have lost. I high risk, high reward. I went for Jan Blachowicz, came up short, but let's get right back to business. I'm still the 185 champ. Let me just brush that off. He's got ice running through his veins. So I think we will have a level-headed Adesanya in the octagon when he faces Vettori, and I think he's going to be honed in and looking for sniper sharp accuracy with his striking.
Yeah, and so I just laid out to you a couple of things that might be in Vettori's advantage that could skew things in the way of Vettori becoming the new champion. Yeah. Let me switch gears, though, and tell you why I personally think that Adesanya is going to win this rematch. Yeah. One, he's got great takedown defense. Yes. What we saw, what Blachowicz really exposed wasn't a lack of grappling. It was a lack of being able to get up off the ground once you're on your back with a bigger fighter on top of you, which, by the way, that's hard for anybody. That's hard for a jiu-jitsu black belt to do when somebody is bigger, stronger, and also knows how to grapple on top of them, making them bear their weight. But Izzy, if you remember, the Yoel Romero fight was a bit of a dud, but Yoel didn't take him down. Izzy's very good about defending the takedown. So I think Marvin is going to shoot a few times, and I think it's going to be after Izzy hits Marvin a couple of hard times and buzzes him, we're going to see a takedown attempt by Vettori that's going to be stuffed, and I think that's going to start to zap the energy out of Vettori. Ultimately, what I think is going to end the fight, and I do think it's going to be a TKO stoppage. I think 5 rounds, Izzy's dangerous. He's got knockout power in all 5. You can't be caught slipping at any point in the 25 minutes, and Vettori doesn't move his head a whole hell of a lot. Vettori's it's what makes him a fun fighter. He's a come forward, punch you in the face, and keep beating you up until you make him respect you with some power or something. Yeah. And so, but I think that lends right to Adesanya's favor, and I think Izzy's going to be able to find maybe even a head kick or something like that late in the rounds as Vettori starts to tire a bit. He carries a big frame for 185, and 25 minutes is a long time for a gentleman of that size to be perfectly sharp and not get clipped, as you said, by a sniper.
Yeah, and I think Adesanya knows that. He's going to be moving back. He strikes moving backward better than anybody in the entire sport. He strikes, period, better than anybody in the entire sport.
Yeah, you could just end the sentence at strikes. Yeah.
But, we saw a frame similar to Marvin Vettori's in Paulo Costa. And if you're not moving your head a lot, if you're not fast, and if you start to gas because you carry a lot of muscle, Izzy's going to make you pay for every bit of that.
Yep.
And I just feel like Marvin Vettori, what the difference is, and I'm going with Adesanya right now as well too, the difference between going for takedowns and forcing them and disguising them is what's gonna make the difference. Jan Blachowicz wasn't even acting like he was going to do that. He was like, okay, let's get into a kickboxing match, right? I'm gonna kickbox the kickboxer. I'm just gonna stand and strike with him. Yeah, we'll tie up a little bit. We'll push up against I'll let him feel my weight a little bit up against the cage. And just when Israel Adesanya realized that, okay, this fight's no longer gonna be going to the ground, that's when he did it. And he tricked him. And he took rounds like that because there is an importance around taking somebody to the ground, and then especially if they can't get back up, that'll win you a round. I think if Marvin Vettori comes out with that sort of a game plan, then he has a better chance of winning. But if he comes out slow, or if he doesn't come out and starts to get tagged and gets a little frustrated and then starts to go for takedowns early in the fight and then starts telegraphing them, it's all over. He's not going to get him. He's not going to get anywhere close to Izzy, and then he's going to get picked apart. And everybody knows how tiring it is to take somebody down. It's arguably more tiring to go shoot for a takedown and not get it. So
yeah, for sure.
So yeah. I think that Jan did was perfect. He disguised him late in the 4th and the 5th round. That's when he started to do it. Really started to win those rounds and pull away on the judges' scorecards. Marvin Vettori needs to do that. Be very secretive and disguise those takedowns. If he doesn't do that, then I think you're going to get a technical knockout as well.
Just in the sense that Israel Adesanya sort of is sneaky, secretive, and lulls his opponents into his traps. Jan Blachowicz did the same thing against Izzy. He didn't hit the take. He didn't even attempt the takedown until the 4th round.
Right.
Nailed him to get on the 5th round, and he sort of had his number at that point and did what he had to do to win the fight. So I think that if Marvin Vettori is going to get a takedown, it's going to have to be well disguised.
Yeah.
He's going to have to throw something with some power on it to make Izzy respect the power. So when they do close that distance and they're kind of in a close boxing range, Izzy's at least thinking that, okay, what might be coming strike-wise? What do I need to be careful for? Because that's going to be the opportunity that Marvin has to take him down. But if Marvin doesn't make Izzy respect his power and rock him with a shot or two beforehand, I think it's going to be very difficult for Marvin to get the takedown on him.
Yeah, and the threat of the takedown is very real. If you're a fighter and you prefer standing, and yeah, you're pretty good at takedown defense, but you prefer standing, and you're fighting a guy that's wrestling heavy and likes to take you down, you know, and you've trained for that specific style. And so that's why we saw Conor McGregor stuff a couple of Khabib's first attempts at takedowns, right? Eventually, of course, he got on top of him. Dustin Poirier is nowhere near the grappler and the takedown artist that Khabib is, but he landed the very first one because of the element of surprise.
Yep.
He surprised Conor. Conor, basically, I'm sure he didn't stuff a single takedown preparing for Dustin Poirier, right? I'm sure that's all he did when he was preparing for Khabib, and it just makes you forget about that. And when you forget about it, you know, you protect your front door so much that you leave your back door open. That's when these techniques, and they don't even have to be flawless, perfect techniques executed at the right time. Dustin Poirier's takedown was nothing special. It was actually, fundamentally a little bit off, but he did it out of surprise, and he just so happened to catch Conor slipping, not paying attention. And in this game, if you're not paying attention very sharply, you can pay for it. And I think that Marvin Vettori's key to victory is surprising him, trying to stand and trade with him, make him feel your power, and then when he's least expecting it, take him down. But Israel Adesanya is a professional. I do think he's the star that he's created himself to be, and the UFC realizes just how special he is. And I think even though he lost, he's going to go right back up and get back to his winning ways.
I think you're right. Guys, thanks so much for watching our video. As always, if you've enjoyed our content, we really do appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe. We love talking with you guys in the comments. And if you listen to audio podcasts, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. We're there as well, guys. And until the next video, we hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Peace.